Welcome back, everybody, to the 1987 Supermod. I'm Brad Drake, and this is my 1987 AWA save. We are in the third week of August of 1987, and that means, because it's Wednesday, it is television TV taping time. For those of you who may not have joined us for the last set of TV tapings that has been recorded here for YouTube, I'll teach you that how we do our recordings here is we tape both of our shows, AWA Championship Wrestling on ESPN and our syndicated show, All Star Wrestling. We tape 2 weeks of the shows all at once, so 4 total shows. So let's go ahead over to our spreadsheet and take a look at the layout for today's show. Now, I have already gone ahead off camera and put in all of the matches, all of the enhancement talent, and we are all set to begin running our shows here. Singles highlighted in the yellow means that they have been put on the television tapings for this batch of tapings. Obviously, not everybody can get on the TV tapings. We just don't have the availability or airtime. But everybody else that's not on here will be sure to get on the next batch of tapings. So it's, again, very realistic to how it was in real life. You didn't see the same wrestlers every week, and sometimes you would go 2 or 3 weeks without seeing a wrestler again. Your big name wrestlers and the big feuds were always featured every week, of course, but other wrestlers that were not involved in major feuds, sometimes you would go 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month sometimes without seeing them on television. Okay, so we're going to start off here with Championship Wrestling on ESPN, and we went over this the last time. You have to be careful if you're doing a big batch of tapings at the same time. You have to make sure to watch for which show is being taped. I have made the mistake in the past and taped the wrong show, and I didn't quite get the numbers that I wanted. I booked the wrong show for the wrong taping. I've taped what I intended for All-Star Wrestling for Championship Wrestling on ESPN. It just happens. I paid the price because of it, and I make sure to be uber vigilant to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So we're going back to our card here, and again, we keep our spreadsheet nice, neat, and orderly. That way we can look back on the previous tapings and see who did what. It makes it a lot easier than searching around through the TEW save itself, and I find it to be a successful formula. So in this video, on this episode, which is episode 11, we are going to go ahead and do 2 TV tapings. Let me rephrase that. We are going to record 2 shows, and then we will do a part 2, and with the other 2 television shows recorded. So Championship Wrestling. See how I almost made that mistake already? It's because I highlighted this incorrectly. I'm going to get this fixed right now before we make the mistake and go ahead and book the wrong TV taping. So, we're going to start out Championship Wrestling here with Jessie Hernandez versus Nelson Royal. Again, Nelson Royal is our light heavyweight champion. He is a very capable hand. He's in his mid-50s at this point. His best days are behind him, but he is still a very good, serviceable athlete and was still being featured in major territories and putting on very good matches. Jessie Hernandez, that name may sound familiar to you. Jessie Hernandez appeared between the AWA, WWF, and some other territories. He did a lot of enhancement talent work, and eventually he became a referee. I believe he was a referee in the early to mid 90s in the WWF. So obviously Nelson Royal is going to go over here. This is a squash match, an enhancement match. And again, we record this true to life. This is exactly how AWA television was back in 1987. These were almost all enhancement matches, and then you would have 1, sometimes 2 marquee matches. For example, this television show, our main event, is going to be a match between the Midnight Rockers and the Midnight Express for the World Tag Team title. Again, the Midnight Express are the new tag team champions. and the Rockers are going to battle them for an attempt to get their belts back here. So moving right along with Championship Wrestling with our recording, we got an exciting six-man tag. Sheik Adnan LKC is going to tag with his team that he manages, the Russians, against three enhancement talent wrestlers, two of which have not been featured on our YouTube show yet. So we're going to go ahead and set this for a six-man match. And we will do LKC and the Russians first. And then I'll go and look up our enhancement talent wrestlers for the event. For this particular match, I should say. So we're Becker, Villo, and Parisian. So I believe it's Todd Becker. Sam Villo. Did I write the wrong name on there? Nope, I did. And Parisian. I can't remember Parisian's name. Let's scan through here real quick and see if we find him. Otherwise, I'll have to go back and look him up on the list of enhancement talent. Is it Mike Parisian? All right, we're wasting time here. Let's go back, take a look at the enhancement talent. David Parisian. Okay. All right, so our match is set. Yeah, we know Borzhukov is injured. Six-man tags cannot go 3 minutes. They have to go a little bit longer. I just can't remember if it's 4 or 5 minutes. So we'll just book this like we normally do, and then it'll tell us. We're going to have the Sheik get the win. So there it is. The time is too little. Let's bump it up to 4 minutes. It's still too low. We're going to bump it up to 5 minutes. So the repercussions here of having a longer enhancement match like this is that we are going to have to drop one of the promos on this show. So we are most likely going to drop the Midnight Rockers promo because I can guarantee you Slaughter and Lawler are going to give a far better promo than the Midnight Rockers. So we have Art Washington versus DJ Peterson. Art Washington was a longtime enhancement talent for the AWA. In fact, I doubt that he ever won a match in his pro career. He was kind of a flabby looking guy, really not much to him. He wasn't much of an athlete either. On the other hand, as I've stated before, I think very highly of DJ Peterson. All right, Terry Ellis is going to battle Ali Khan. Terry Ellis was a very serviceable light heavyweight wrestler. I've seen some video of him with his work on the East Coast, and he was talented. He was definitely used in the AWA as enhancement talent, and he served that purpose well. But Terry Ellis was no pushover. He was pretty successful on the independent circuit. Ali Khan, again, Ali Khan just had that, short little run in the AWA. He probably bounced around the independents. I like him. He's a big dude. He's got a good look. I always found it funny that they would introduce him from Afghanistan, and then he was managed by Sheik Adnan LKC, who was also allied with the Russians. So never made too much sense, but let's not ask any questions. So Khan's going to go over. Bill Anderson is going to take on Greg Gagne. And of course, Greg Gagne is going to go over. So there you have it. Okay, we can't double book Greg Gagne, so let's go ahead and have Larry Hennig be the road agent for this one. Sergeant Slaughter is going to cut a 5-minute promo. We just talked about that. And we know we're going to get a good number from him. Buddha Khan. Buddha Khan is an interesting guy. Buddha Khan worked as enhancement talent for the AWA at the end of his career. He had a regular career before that. He was a mid-card guy. Buddha Khan was also like a world-class R&B singer and was involved with a very popular singing group. Very talented guy. He made a lot of money off of his musical career. And I just always find that hilarious that here he's doing job work on television, yet he is a world-class singer. So obviously he's 47 years old at this point too. He's at the very end of his career. So he's probably just trying to make as much money as he could. He was a big dude too. Buddha Khan was over 300 pounds, probably about 6'4". He was no small guy. He was a monster. But Sergeant Slaughter's going to take him out, preferably with the Cobra Clutch. Jerry Lawler, as I said, we were able to renew his loan using underhanded tactics of my own. But unfortunately, with the way the game's designed, you just have to do that in order to make it happen. So we have Jerry Lawler cut a 6-minute promo. This should get really good numbers. So that man could talk back then, and he can still talk today. Lawler's going to go over premier enhancement talent in the AWA, Frankie DeFalco, and of course, Frankie DeFalco is not available. So we're going to have Lawler take out Houdini. Just look at that look. I don't know how that guy wasn't a major star. Based off his look alone. It seems for every time the WWF runs a card in this save, they have Frankie DeFalco on there, whether they're using him or not. He's just constantly in demand. So here is the big rematch, this one on television. You could just imagine the AWA showing recaps of what took place about the title change in Salt Lake City. And I could just in my mind, I can excitedly hear Rod Trongard just going off about this title change, because title changes were rare in the AWA. It was a big deal when it happened. So this would have been a really big deal to have this rematch on TV. So here we go. We're setting things up. Dennis Condrey, Randy Rose, and again, it is for the World Tag Team title. And we are going to have Shawn Michaels get the win, but he is going to get the win by DQ after Paul Heyman attacks him. You know Paul E. Dangerously would have done whatever it took to retain those titles. So that's exactly what's taken place here. We may be able to make this 15 minutes. Couldn't. It was a little too long. All right, let's take a look. I think this is a solid television card. Let's see how we do. Okay, 34, 60, and a 40, not bad. It looks like Nelson Royal is starting to get over here. So that's good. LKC takes out Villa with the pile driver. You know, we got a lot of guys using pile drivers. They may have just the generic brawler attribute. So let's check out after this LKC's finisher and get that tweaked if we need to. All right, DJ Peterson takes out Art Washington. And I was incorrect. This is episode number 12. We're up to 12 already, folks. Ali Khan takes out Ellis with the power slam, scores an 18, but I bet you if we look, I bet you Ali Khan continues to climb in popularity. This is a decent score. This was unexpected. Greg Gagne takes out Bill Anderson. Bill Anderson, for those of you that didn't know, was actually a pretty good wrestler, and he spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico. He was a star in Puerto Rico. Just in 1987, unfortunately, he was doing jobs on TV for the AWA. But Bill Anderson was a very capable wrestler who had a very good run in the WWC in Puerto Rico. Nice promo by Sergeant Slaughter, just as we predicted, as a 70. Oh, he didn't use the Cobra Clutch, darn it. But he takes out Khan with the Gutbuster. I would have paid to have seen him get Khan up in the air for a Gutbuster. But apparently he did it. So 66, not bad for an enhancement match score. Jerry Lawler has a really good promo here, a 77. That's a nice score. 68 for an enhancement match, very good. And here it is, 81 for the Rockers versus the Midnight Express. Nice. So there it is. Paulie dangerously hops in, attacks Shawn Michaels. The referee sees it. The Midnight Rockers get the win by disqualification. They get the win, but no belts. Vintage AWA booking here, folks. That's exactly how it would have been done. Because if you were that 8-year-old kid at home watching this on TV, you just got really pissed that the Midnight Rockers got screwed, and you're going to beg your parents to buy that ticket to see the show when it came to town. All right, that concludes this one. Nice. We got a popularity boost in 25 regions, 75 overall. Not bad for an enhancement show. Now we move along to All-Star Wrestling. And I'm going to highlight this one now so I don't screw it up. Because you can rest assured, if I don't highlight it, I will. Now, I think I've pointed this out before, but I'll point it out again. So we book 2 All-Star Wrestlings at a time and 2 Championship Wrestlings at a time. So what I do is I make sure there's a women's match every other week on All-Star Wrestling and Championship Wrestling. The AWA featured women's wrestling, but it wasn't a heavy part of their product. So I try to keep it realistic and I don't oversaturate television with women's matches. So we just give them a match, every week, either on Championship Wrestling or on All-Star Wrestling, and that does the trick for us. So Susan Starr, Lady Enhancement Talent, is going to battle Vivian Vachon. Getting ahead of myself there. Did you see that? Starr versus Vachon. There's Susan Starr. Susan Starr was a good little worker. No doubt. I almost feel bad about using her as enhancement talent, but, somebody's got to take the losses. There we go. So we're all booked up with the ladies' match. Sean Baxter, again, wait till you check out this guy's hair. Baxter and Medina are going to get throttled by the Nasty Boys, and that's exactly how it would have been, too. The Nasty Boys would have probably, for lack of a better term, beat the shit out of them. So there we go. Check out that hair. Oh, man. That doesn't age well, does it? Here we go. Brian Knobs, Jerry Sags. We're going to give Knobs the pinfall here. Jeff Curtis is going to battle Alan West. Jeff Curtis is one of our freshly signed enhancement talents. We talked about him in another episode. Hopefully Alan West is available. Sometimes they're using him in Memphis. So there we go. Alan West is going over. Alan West was a guy that had a really good look, and like a DJ Peterson. He had that steroided up look. He had a good look. He was a big guy. He moved pretty well. He was not a bad wrestler. He just never broke through into mainstream. Him and Mitch Snow were around at the same time, and both of them just ended up doing enhancement matches for the WWF. It's probably the fact that the territories were falling apart at this time. Otherwise, I would say if they would have come around 5 or 10 years earlier, they probably would have had a lot more success than they did, because they were capable and they had a great look. Mark Young is going to wrestle Jack Victory here. And as you remember, we talked about Mark Young before. He's the son of Chief Jay Strongbow. And I just never thought much of the guy. Great dance moves, great break dancer, but I just never thought much of him. I'm getting to talking and I forget who he's wrestling. See how that happens? All right. Terrorist is going to go over. I don't know how much longer we're going to keep Jack Victory around. We're starting to build up. I kind of like to have a small enough roster where I can have everybody on TV each week, but we're also trying to do full 8-match touring shows too. So we'll see. I'll make a decision on that. Tom Ernesto Jr. versus Sonny Rogers. Tom Ernesto was one of the original assassins with Jody Hamilton. I'm assuming that this was his son. Even if it was, he was enhancement. I never saw him used as anything but enhancement. Sonny Rogers, again, capable hand, really good trainer. I like Sonny. We're going to give him the W here. Colonel De Beers is going to give us a promo. Let's double check his promo ability to see if we can get. We want to get the most out of him that we can. So his microphone is 73 to 81. How over is he? Okay, he's only marginally over. Let's put him in there with Larry Nelson. Let's have him do a promo with Larry Nelson. This should help him, should help the overall score here. So there's Larry Nelson. There's Colonel De Beers. Larry Nelson, we're going to base on microphone. De Beers, we're going to base on entertainment. And let's see how it goes. Keith Pullins is going to wrestle Colonel De Beers. Some of you are probably younger than me. I was, in 1987, I was 5 years old. But I remember paying attention to the news and stuff that was going on. In 1987, there was a lot of apartheid stuff going on in South Africa, where they were starting to protest and resist the apartheid regime. So Ed Wazkowski, or Wazanowski was his name, who later became Colonel De Beers, was a successful wrestler in Pacific Northwest and some other territories under his regular name. Well, he jumped all over this opportunity and created this Colonel De Beers character, who was an apartheid supporter, and it was genius. It was a horrible heel. Everybody hated him. He would say racist stuff. Obviously, this stuff would not pass today. It wouldn't be allowed. But back then, it made sense. Public sentiment was against apartheid in South Africa and what was going on. So he creates this ultimate heel character who's a racist, and people hated the guy. I mean, I'm 39 years old, and I still hate Colonel De Beers, but he was a successful heel. I got to give him his respect and his credit. So obviously, Colonel De Beers goes over here. I always thought De Beers was talented in the ring too. He was definitely no daisy in the ring. So we're going to give a promo to Wahoo and the Baron here. That should go over well. Both of them are very good talkers. So there's the Baron. There's Wahoo. We're going to base both of them on microphone. They should do just fine. I expect a 70s rating for that promo. So Kevin Collins, and Dennis Stamp are going to wrestle McDaniel and Von Raschke. We get to see Kevin Collins' mullet here. And we also get to see Dennis Stamp. Again, 3-minute match, squash match. Dennis Stamp was a good wrestler. I know he was goofy and he made himself look like a fool in that Beyond the Mat documentary, but he was a good wrestler. You can't deny it. Something about those guys from Texas in the 70s that came up in the late 60s and the 70s, they could all go. And Dennis Stamp was no exception. All right, I think we gave Wahoo the win the last time. We're going to give the Baron the win this time. Again, I'm liking this tag team. It's two serviceable veterans, and they're doing really good. All right, Larry Zbyszko is going to cut a promo here, and I'm sure he is going to kill it. We're going to have him mention both Curt Hennig and Scott Hall in the promo to keep that four-way feud, that 2-on-2 feud going strong. And Scott Hall is surprising me in this save. He is doing exceptionally well. I'm really glad I signed him. All right, there's the promo for Zbyszko. And we're going to have Jimmy Snuka wrestle Zbyszko. Now, as we talked about before, Jimmy Snuka is our #1 merchandise seller. He is also extremely popular, and he is red hot. We have him winning all the time against Dick Slater. So the question here is, this is a good match to have to get people to turn on the television and watch the show. But the question now becomes, how do you have either one of these guys lose when they're both red hot? It's difficult. Here's my take on this. Larry Zbyszko is in a hot feud right now. Jimmy Snuka is not. We got to have Larry Zbyszko go over. And we're going to have him go over by Nick Bockwinkel interfering. That would make sense. That takes loss heat off of Jimmy Snuka, and it's good for the AWA right now. This also sets up some potential matches between Snuka and Zbyszko. Again, continuation matches or additional matches that could be Snuka versus Bockwinkel for the title. So Larry Zbyszko goes over here thanks to Nick Bockwinkel. Let's see if Snuka complains. He does not. Good. Okay, our full 65 minutes is used here. Let's go ahead and run the show and see how we do. So, Vivian Vachon busting out that power bomb, putting Suzanne Starr down. All right, the Nasty Boys beat the living shit out of Baxter and Medina and get the win. Their popularity is still not there, but they're improving. What's the dirt sheet tell us? Okay, we got inexperience is what's killing the Nasties. That's okay. We're going to keep running them. That's going to improve. Alan West, again, who I like, takes the win over Jeff Curtis. Good. Terrorist beats Mark Young. So Jack Victory continues to gain in popularity. Sonny Rogers over Ernesto. low score, but again, I'm not worried about it. Ah, this is disappointing. This is disappointing. Why would this get such a low rating? Ah, not happy with that at all. Should have gotten a better score. But work-wise, you can see that De Beers does very well here. I always liked that pancake pile driver too. I thought that was a vicious move to see on television. I'm telling you, De Beers was good. All right, just as I predicted, we get a nice score in the 70s that we should have. These two guys are very over in this territory. And we get a 55 overall. It's okay. It's a squash match. Let's see if they got credit for a squash. Doesn't look like any bonus for a squash match. That's a little surprising. Wow, what a promo. What a promo. 86. Very good. And an 81 overall for the main event. This is good. I think that's a little weak that he got him by submission, but let's say Bockwinkel probably hit him with something and knocked him out and then made it look like a submission, probably an arm drop type deal. And then Zbyszko gets credited with the submission. So this is a solid all-star wrestling. 9 regions. That means all of our regions got a bump that we're being shown in. So this is good. This was a good all-star wrestling card. Some nice matches. I hope you folks enjoyed this as much as I did. The next episode, we'll go on and get the second half of these TV tapings. And remember, give us a like and go ahead and subscribe. Help us. We're trying to build an empire here. We're trying to get the word out there about the 1987 Supermod. There's a lot of people that play TEW 2020, and there is a lot of classic wrestling fans out there. I'm sure they would enjoy this this mod very much. I've gotten some very positive feedback from you folks, and I really appreciate hearing from you. I hope you enjoy playing the 1987 Supermod. And if you do not have it and you want it, please visit my website, braddrake.net/contact. Fill out the form, tell me you want the mod, and I'll send you the link. Also, you can become part of our group on Facebook, facebook.com/1987supermod, facebook.com/1987supermod. Join us. You'll know about the updates to the show. And also, we talk about some other wrestling stuff, and we're just getting started with that. So come join us. Come talk with us. Come have a good time. And just, it's a lot of fun reliving these old memories and putting a new spin on it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good one.